Dr. Shabir, the question is Islam the only religion that has a judgment day?
No. To be sure, the belief in the Day of Judgment is not universal. Among some religions, there is no such concept. In Buddhism, for example, there's the idea that you experience a nirvana, which is similar to the Hindu moksha. And there is the idea of a reincarnation in Hinduism, where you go through different life cycles, depending on whether you've done well or not. You go into a higher level of existence or a lower one in the next life. But there is no ultimate day of judgment where everybody is called to justice and then, either paradise or hell. But this idea that there is this judgment day goes back to Zoroastrianism, which scholars in the academic world credit with the idea that then comes into Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. In some of the earlier parts of the Hebrew scriptures, the Day of Judgment does not rank prominent. Even the idea of resurrecting from the dead seems to be mentioned in some of the later writings from within the Jewish Bible, for example, in the book of Daniel. But this idea is very prominent in the New Testament, in the preachings of Jesus, for example, speaking about the day that will come when the sheep and the goats will be separated. The Acts of the Apostles has Paul preaching, saying that God has appointed one man to judge the world in that eventual moment. And that idea of the Day of Judgment then is picked up in the Quran. It is very prominent in the Quran. In fact, it permeates the entire Quran. You do good, you get your reward on the Day of Judgment. You do evil, you will be visited with punishment in the life hereafter. All of this will be decided on the Day of Judgment. We live this life, but don't think you can get away with doing wrong things, because everything you do is being recorded. And on the Day of Judgment, everyone will resurrect from the dead when a trumpet is blown, and we will stand in the court of justice before God. So people might escape the courts of this world, but they will eventually face that judgment in the life hereafter.
What do you think is the value of having a judgment day, Dr. Shabir?
Well, it helps to make sense of the injustice that we see in this world. Otherwise, we all have the sense that, first of all, justice should be done, and that justice is a good thing, and injustice is very bad. But what if we never see any results from either justice, good results, or injustice, bad results? One might do everything just, and one might suffer as a result, and one may commit injustice and get away with it and have an easy life. But the belief in the life hereafter and the Day of Judgment makes sense of this by saying, well, you're not going to get away with what you're doing. God will bring you to justice on the Day of Judgment. In fact, Immanuel Kant, a philosopher a couple of hundred years ago, said that the belief in the life hereafter actually makes sense from this particular perspective. It's what we call the moral imperative. Why would we say that it's right to do good and wrong to do bad? Well, the idea of the judgment and the life hereafter makes sense of that.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thank you, Dr. Shabir.
You're welcome.